the edge of the universe, 400 men and women are probing the immeasurable blackness of space. Their leaders are an Earthman with no fear and a stranger with no heart. Travel beyond our time and solar system, into new galaxies, into worlds beyond your dreams. Star Trek, every week, in color.
Oh my goodness. It's Tuesday, October 15th. It's 3 p.m. Pacific Earth time. Must be time for serious Star Trek. I'm your engineer, Dantron. Man, speaking of engineering, what a week. What a season finale of Strange New Worlds. Can't wait to talk about it with the crew. Let's bring him in right now. The Doctor. He's a doctor. We don't know of what exactly. I think it's folklore and mythology. But you know what? He's the doctor with the answers. The answers that you need. Let's bring him in, Dr. John E. Price, PhD. Hey, John.
Oh, hey guys, how you doing?
I feel like I've been giving your intros short shrift, and you know, it's so a guy like Captain Fun. It's gonna be like
Captain Fun.
It's gonna be Captain Fun. So how about this one? And now our good friend Captain Fun. Hi, Larry.
Wow, can't beat that. Hey, everybody.
I'm balancing the scales, the intro scales.
I love that we wore our lower decks uniforms for Hector today.
Oh, I just always wear it.
Do you?
He was requesting that.
Yeah.
I typically wear it. Yeah.
Big show.
If
I wore my dirty dog,
yeah,
my dirty
nice.
Antron dog.
If
And
at
of
any
course-
point my
sorry.
internet cuts out, just keep going and I'll be back. Just just FYI. We
We'll
don't have
grapple-
internet in Virginia apparently.
We'll grapple you because we love grapplers.
Well,
I do
it's
love grapplers.
it's thematic for this week because what did they call the Gorn disruptor thingy?
I don't
That
know.
kills all
Yeah.
communications and kills all whatever. That's so that we can pretend that's what's going on, John. That would be fun.
Yes.
You remember fun, guys?
The
You remember fun?
seventh thing in that episode that they stole from another franchise. Yes.
Philo's here, so
Philo T. Fuzzworth.
you haven't missed anything. It's just we were talking about an episode called Space Seed.
I gotta say, they did almost everything I didn't want them to do.
Yeah.
Although I did like the look of the Gorn in the spacesuit thingy. That was neat. However, enough with the tail dangling thing. How many more aliens specific shots are we gonna rip off? It's offensive at some point.
It's offensive.
It's a bit much. It's a bit much. Let's be real.
I have a counter opinion on this. Rick Austin has completely swayed me to the who gives a shit side, right? Like, this is just what Star Trek is now. Gorns have fucking tails. They look like aliens. You know, the fucking captain of the flagship is a little fraidy cat. All right.
We're going to talk about that. Don't
We
worry.
gotta
We're gonna
talk. We
about
gotta
where
talk
we're
about
at
that
now.
Well,
Yeah.
wait a minute. I forgive all the whatevers, the con,
The
Noonian-
shittiness.
the Connie Noonian singings of whatever fan service / whatever. And I'll even forgive them changing the Gorn. The Gorn, all right, so Spock's different. Gorns are different. Everything's different. That's cool. But you're ripping off. I mean, when you're ripping off shots from classic series,
Right.
I like how
Hollywood big shot
yeah,
Rick
Rick's
Austin.
no, that's completely mischaracterized. Is my point, and if you'll refer to our conversation in 1979 at the Rutland Plaza. Man, I love Rick. That guy.
Well, they completely stole. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the movie Serenity, the Firefly movie. They completely stole the idea and I mean, I haven't seen it in a while, but it was very similar when they floated the shuttle through the wreckage. That's straight from Serenity, like straight up. So we'll add it to the very long list of other sci-fi franchises that they've blatantly ripped off.
I mean, that's akin to the Millennium Falcon on the side of the Star Destroyer.
Sure.
When they released the garbage.
I was just gonna say, like,
Yeah.
wow, you can tell the generation gap because, like,
No,
I'm
I
here to
understand,
get
but I
this
mean, like,
Serenity.
the exact shot, like, it triggered my brain. I was like, I've seen this exact shot before, and it was from fucking Serenity. Anyway,
Larry, did you know that Joss Whedon, he's a genius. He took sci-fi and he mixed it with westerns. Did you know that? Did you know he did that?
I did. I also knew
I've heard that.
He took women and inappropriateness to like a new level. So
Okay,
but he created such strong female characters.
Hollywood big shot Rick Austin
you can't
says,
take away the strong female characters just because the guy's a rapist. All right, it's not my fault.
I actually disagree with this. I really like this. If we're going to go an alternative Star Trek timeline, I like using something that existed from the earlier timeline. And Gorns are cool. I don't know. I like Gorns.
It's messy though, because the second they showed up, I'm like, oh, so the Metrons are just going to be the Organians now, and we'll never have to think about this again. And then I forgot, oh yeah, these are the new Star Trek guys, where everything has to be an ongoing fucking season-long monstrosity.
Well, here's the thing, though. I really do think that they have in their pocket plenty of Deus Ex Machinas that they can do to reset whatever they want, whenever they want. So they could get to the end of this series and be like, yeah, undo on all that. The old time, like there's a lot of tricks that they could pull.
They can.
Didn't they learn their lesson though with Enterprise? Like the second you do that, you lose all the fans of the thing that nobody liked in the first place. You know what I mean? So the second you do Sex and Machina something, nobody's happy. So
because I don't see how you can
not to do that.
Because they or it's just leaning into this alternate timeline that slowly diverges more and more. I don't know how that changes.
So Rick Austin's got a great point here, right? The best bad guys are the ones you can talk to, not just run away from and blow out of airlocks. This is the problem with them reimagining the Gorn. The Gorn were not slithery reptiles.
Yeah.
They were a fully, not, I don't want to say fully fleshed out, but they were the reptile equivalent of humans, right? They talked to each other. They he clearly was smart. They were spacefaring. These guys, they
were kind of the good guys
from Stranger Things. They're just little fucking like reptiles scurrying along. Like that's not.
You don't know how many times I said on a playground or later in my life, drunk in a bar, Captain Kirk, I will be merciful and quick. Like, that's a fucking guy you're afraid of, right?
Oh,
you have to like, oh shit, I can't beat this guy with Kirk Fu. I need to fucking invent cannons to fucking even be on the same planet as this guy. And that kind of imagination is just not within the realm.
But to that point, if this is what they wanted to do, call it a different, we've said this a billion times in the past like 5 years, just call it something else. If you want to have these little slithery things that, lay eggs in your skin, just call it something else and everybody's on board,
I don't get why they just didn't take the aliens from Conspiracy and just go,
kidding.
Oh, I thought they were mind control aliens, but now they're fucking aliens. Oh shit. And then everybody goes, well, that doesn't seem right, but at least it was from that episode, right? Yeah.
Very stupid.
Now we just have the same thought. Oh, fucking ripping off aliens. Why didn't you show some originality?
Or make it a crossover and actually have fucking xenomorphs.
That would be cool.
Like, Star Trek versus Alien versus Predator. Let's fucking do this.
That's my dream, because that means Disney will have bought Star Trek and then we'll get
fine with me.
I still say this. They've been slow to reveal the Gorn. We've gotten a little bit at a time. This was our first adult Gorn. We don't know anything about their culture. I mean, they got starships, they got spacesuits, and they got stuff. They were the heroes of Arena, right? I mean, essentially,
they just weren't villains.
They were the misunderstood.
Yeah. If anything, the Starfleet was the one who had encroached on their territory.
They were the indigenous species with the white man imperialist encroaching on their territory. That was so great, and that was so obviously the message. That it's really weird that they've leaned into this. The pure evil. I looked into their soul and they're pure evil. But yet, Bob April, I like calling him Bob.
Bob
says,
it weirds me out.
He alludes to the fact that like maybe there's more to it than that. So if they can explore those things, that's great. But if they're just trying to go like the ultimate evil is scariest thing in space is the Gorn, and there's no redeeming qualities to them. That would be a betrayal of the original series and the original.
And I like the way you put how with Arena, it's so obviously the message, which I think is what pisses people off, because it's like you're getting the very obvious message wrong.
But it has to be on purpose, because that message is not hidden. It's not like it was subtext under the surface. No.
It's like that,
on the screen, we are the
white episode. The Akiva Goldsman version of the black and white episode is, actually those people are monsters now and they're killing you.
I mean, is it perhaps it's perhaps a change in the outlook of, like, then it was a hopeful, like, yeah, we're in the Cold War, but the enemy's not so different than us. And we've moved into this realm where it's like, you're either with us or you're against us. You're pure evil. There's no redeemingness to the evil of the other side.
And that's actually something I would talk about with Discovery back, in the long ago, where the politics of it is actually very reactionary, right? It's very much a kind of sort of neoconish kind of
post 9/11, right?
Post 9/11, right? But it was made in the late 2020s, and it's like, we should be beyond this message. If anything, we should be reacting to that message. And they're not. They're kind of embracing it. So I love calling out that, it's the most progressive Star Trek, and it's got LGBT characters, and it's got this, and it's got that. But at the same time, we're promoting, like, space imperialism. It's very odd, and kind of the dehumanization of our enemies and all that. It's a very weird situation we have.
I agree. I feel like that is that the whole episode of Arena hinges on that. It's so cool. It's the cool sci-fi twist of that episode that, like, the whole thing hinges on that the Gorn are not evil. So anyway, I believe they've set us up in a position where they could explore it. And they haven't painted it all yet. So I'll give them a chance at this point, I guess.
I just don't see a really dense and layered, Babylon 5 type episode where we're sitting at a meeting table with the Gorn ambassador.
Right.
Like, I don't think those guys have that in them. I just don't. I think you could write that episode right now and it would be fucking amazing, because then you're playing with audience expectation, right? Mm-hmm. Except they're not that smart.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's wild, because we're in a time now where it's like Russia, who was the difference in our feelings of Americans. Like, you can't be a Russian sympathizer right now or you're anti-American, right? So I'm not pro Ukraine, go Ukraine. But it's different. It's interesting because we were in the Cold War back then, and we were still trying to see the other side. We were always trying to sympathize with the Romulans, with the enemy in some way.
Here's my problem with that. I think
shared humanity.
I think you're absolutely right that they're doing that, and that's my problem with this fucking new shit, because that's great in the 1960s when you have societal upheaval, right? Except part of that was the medium is the message, and Marshall McLuhan and all that fucking people getting savvy to how to control shit. Until now we're in 2020, and you mean to tell me that all the fucking people who grew up in this media saturated world plus have 60 years of fucking alternate history to call upon, the best thing they can come up with is like, oh, hey, Ensign fucking Jughead is down at the chocolate shop. Like, are you fucking joking? Like, this should be fucking the coolest fucking show ever, and they can't do it because they're all looking up their own asses instead of out at the stars.
Okay, can we talk about this episode a little more, though? The ending specific. Well, two things, by the way. I thought for sure when I saw the preview, I mentioned this last week, I think, but when I saw the preview, I thought for sure that you guys were going to go bananas over Pike's got the cool armored outfit, but I guess that's only new to me, huh? That's not cool. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what makes the cut for cool. That's pretty cool.
All that prop stuff was left over from Discovery.
So we've
seen all that. Even the new phasers were just the old Discovery phasers.
Yeah, that I was insulted.
Yeah.
That was one of the. So when we get I was fine, right? This is
fine.
Star Trek now. I get it, but the one thing where they lost me was right at the end, where we're going out on this amazing to be continued. Fucking Star Trek is known for their cliffhanger season enders.
Oh yeah.
And here's the one where they have $10 million an episode. Holy shit, what is this going to be? And it's your main guy going, I don't know. What do you want to do?
Well, and looking scared. He looked
out
scared.
of your mind.
Crazy.
Preach it, Larry. Preach
Yeah.
it. No, well, okay, but so, again, could that be what exactly was going on there? Is it because I figure it could be redeemed if the second the episode opens, he just goes, yeah, fucking A, go fucking let's do this thing, right?
But no, because that's shitty television. So I think you're right. I think that's exactly what's going to happen, that there's a missing piece that the audience doesn't have, and we're supposed to sweat it all summer when all we do is go, well, that's atonal and wrong, and what else is on TV? You know, I should probably watch that second Justified thing. I heard his Oliphant's real daughter's in it. And that's all you want to think Star Trek is the best fucking thing that you've seen. And you can't wait like For All Mankind is for me now. Like, where's the next season? Are you kidding me? I got to know what happens. And Star Trek is Captain Pike going, I don't know. Nobody watches Star Trek.
He's in a sticky situation, right? I mean, the love of his life is there.
So then have the big reveal thing that you think that he just fucking said, fire all the torpedoes, fucking empty it. And then the big reveal is like, no, I'm just kidding. Of course I would never do that. Here's a diplomatic solution that's actually, a cool narrative device. Okay. You can't do it the other way around, where his second in command is going, Captain, did you just have a stroke? Because there's some fucking shit going on. What are your orders, pal? Like, they drag that on way too long. If it's like he doesn't know what to do, then just go, what the fuck? To be continued. Okay. That's kind of defensible.
Yeah, they did drag,
but like having to go, no, and he could do a little waltz while he's thinking about what's going on. No. And that means that your captain is indecisive and he needs to be just removed from command, just relieved right now. I'm fucking insulted, and as a Jew, I'm just insulted.
I feel like he's going like, what kind of recipe, what kind of cookies could I bake up and send over to the Gorn? You know what I mean? Like, his priorities are a little weird as a captain.
I think it's funny. Rick
says, I felt maybe you're being a little too hard on old Pikey. I thought he started to grow some balls during that episode. Hey, at the end of Menagerie Part 1, Kirk locks up Spock. It's a cliffhanger.
Dude doesn't know how to date a woman, and he doesn't know how to fucking fire phasers. And frankly, I don't like how he looks in those jeans. So I'm a Spock guy 100% now. Fucking Ethan Peck, man. He's where it's at.
Okay. Is it
it's funny because I hated him in Discovery.
Is it just you're responding to the fact that they're trying to make him the anti-Kirk? And you love Captain Kirk? Who doesn't love Captain Kirk?
It's not just Kirk, it's everybody. I love Ron Tracy. I love Captain Wesley. I love fucking Captain Merrick even, and he wasn't even a starship. I love all those fucking guys because you're sitting in the center seat of a fucking spaceship, flying around, finding cool shit with your friends, right? That's why is that show not on television anymore?
Yeah, he looked like maybe he smelled burning toast. You know what I mean? Like something weird was going on.
Really? Did I don't remember eating asparagus. Like, what? Come on.
Yeah, I was having a little bit of a time. I mean, I guess they were just trying to point out what a sticky situation he's in, right?
Well, he's under orders not to start a war. And meanwhile, there's a war starting around him. Like that's
and the love of his life just been transported, and like
she's got little baby Gorns inside her.
How fucking stupid! Why do they have to do that? Like,
yeah, you just pointed out why I hate this episode. Like,
the Gornness, it all would go away if they didn't keep leaning into that stupid. I forgave them for the first episode. I'm like, just don't do it anymore. There's no need to do it. Make them a cool lizard thing.
Can I tangentially interrupt with a heartwarming,
Of course.
Norman Rockwell-esque story about? So my kid and I, we're talking about this nonsense in Florida, how they can only teach truncated Shakespeare. So I say,
What?
it's the taming of the shrew. You can only teach excerpts.
Okay.
So I'm like, you might as well fucking show that man from Atlantis episode, The Naked Montague. He says, what? I said, ho, let's sit down. This is what bootlegs are for. And there's an old show with Patrick Duffy about an underwater breathing guy. And one of the episodes is he gets knocked in the head with some underwater turbulence of a quantum kind. And he shows up in a fountain in the middle of the events of Romeo and Juliet. And then he helps them not die, gets knocked in the head, falls back in the fountain, ends up in a submarine, tells everybody what happens with his new friends. And they're like, oh, you got knocked in the head. All of that is better than this last episode. And that was fucking underwater breathing nonsense. Yeah, and it's not just that it's the worst Hollywood, character shortcut, because I kind of get that, right? Ortegas is the pilot; she's a hotshot. The doctor's like, oh, I want to heal people, but I also like murdering. I get it, but the problem with that is that cooking all the goddamn time is just a limp dick way of. I'm not saying that he needs to go out there and like talk to his buddies while he's swilling Jack Daniels and throwing axes, and like Kirkwood. but
even Picard was out there riding horses and shit.
Yeah. See, that's a perfect example. And so is he, except he kind of longs for those days, and so he keeps a smelly ass saddle in his office, right? It's like, no, dude, every choice is like, oh, I wish this guy was my father, which is like, those are the wrong guys you want writing Star Trek.
I mean, it's the
You can tell this is being written by women.
Or yes, people with daddy issues.
No, I mean,
TM Chris Strength.
But think about it. Wait a minute. I'm going to play devil's advocate on the cooking, though, for a second. As a guy who cooks for his family every day, I cook dinner. Cooking is a fun hobby. It's interesting. You have to do it every day. It fulfills something you need. Yeah. I could see if you're trapped on a starship, it would, and you could do it, especially in those days before they could synthesize stuff. Cooking would be really important, just like it might be in a Navy ship or something like that to somebody. So I'm going to give that to him. I like that.
I also cook for my family, and I think it's fantastic. I love doing it. It's a creation presentation shit, except that's not how they present it. They present it like, here, I'm trying to solve some fucking problem, but at least I can control this fucking sauce in front of me. It's like, they're not presenting like, hey, I'm solving this fucking problem of my fallen souffle. Like, I'm solving fucking Romulan shit, and I don't even care what you say about it. He's the guy in the center seat for a reason. And there's too much of the, hey, we're not Kirk, and not enough of like, it is a fucking Star Trek episode though.
And also
Ortega's called him out. Ortega's called him out this episode. She's flying, right, and it's getting a little turbulence, and he's freaking out, and she's like, dude, aren't you a test pilot? Like,
oh, totally, dude. Yeah, I wrote that down because I'm
but I'm a pussy now. Yeah.
And he's like, oh, that's a little hairy. And then she calls him out as a test pilot. I go like, then that's impossible what just happened. Like, what kind of
You don't see Neil Armstrong being a bitch.
My kid, can I tell you, my kid called that out because I love that Han Solo line all the time, because we're doing comics again, so he's seeing people going, oh, here's Larry Young again. He's like, I didn't realize these people know who you are. And I'm like, oh yeah, and so I say that Han Solo line all the time. Aren't you Han Solo? Like, well, I used to be, and like, but that's what I'm good at. So I'm going back to a little space piracy now, and that's how I feel that he should be, that Pike should be. Like, you're a test pilot, you're a fucking steely-eyed missile man, right? Like, they don't make nonsense guys test pilots because those guys all wash out or die. And so if you're an old test pilot, you're not like, oh, I forgot this was crazy. Are you kidding me?
Totally. And to me, that's how he would connect with Ortegas over that.
Exactly.
Like, that's he's a hot shot pilot. If you're a test pilot, that's what you are. You're Hal Jordan.
Then that's fine. Stir up some bacon in the skillet and talk about how that was badass. That works, right?
Totally.
Anyway. I'm with Hector.
Okay, what did we?
Hector liked my little Patton Oswalt presentation.
Well,
I want to heal people, but also
what did we like, guys? What was our favorite thing about this episode? I need you to go first so I can think of one.
I actually really liked most of. I liked most of this episode. I had a lot of. I liked number one. I liked Ortega's. I liked a lot of it.
I love the whole thing until the end, and then it made me hate it.
Yeah,
just like Lost.
I really liked Captain Patel. I like she's kind of more badass than Pike.
I love that they're all in like a 1950s village. That's like 100% Star Trek. Here's the back lot. Yeah. Oh wait, let's go rent this development that's not really ready yet, and we can dress it how we want. No, that's fucking fantastic. I loved everything. The Gorn doesn't bother me. We saw an adult with a spacesuit trying to break in. You like
rejected.
That? That's all fucking great. But
you
the
like
captain
the Midwestern.
Going, I'm scared, Wesley. Stop it. Get out of here.
I liked the adult Gorn in the spacesuit, except for when the tail hanging upside down is inexcusable to me.
Whatever.
I wanted to see more of that cool armor and the cool suit. I like that they didn't. We still have not seen an adult Gorn. And even though that guy was fast, he's in powered exo armor. So that doesn't mean that they're not still kind of like a slow moving. I want that so bad. I know I'm not going to get it, but I really want to see like an old iguana man on a throne, like a really old, like guy's barely moving.
Give me Star Trek. And 3 episodes will go by, and then the Gorn ambassador shows up, and he's an old slow guy because that's what happens when you're old.
Okay,
you want to see an adult one? Here's Grandpa Gorn.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Totally, yeah. And there's a spectrum though, from this fast skittering little guys to the the old.
There you go.
500-year-old, king of the lizards or whatever. Scotty, well, okay, how can we not? Got it. We have to talk about this. And
fine.
Larry, you fucking
the Wish.com Simon Pegg.
Captain Fun, Captain Fun nailed it with your theory about Pelia and Scotty.
Oh, yeah.
Tell the audience, please.
Oh, I just said it seems perfect to me. Like at first I get annoyed that she knows literally everyone in the Star Trek universe, and they're all like, oh, you were my best professor, or you gave me a C or whatever. Talk about like shorthanding a character, right? But then I thought, no, that's great if you're getting the audience on your side, so she gets to do Paper Chase with Starfleet Academy, and then that show might actually be good. Who knows?
That move makes complete sense, and I'll be amazed if that doesn't happen.
The only reason that made me think of that is because I found out Tawny Newsome is in the writers' room for that show, and I went from cautiously optimistic to they might make some moves because that chick understands Star Trek and she understands good storytelling. So I'm like, oh, you know what? If I was getting drunk with Tawny, I'd be like, how are we not moving Carol Kane over? And I was like, man, maybe they are setting that up. Anyway, that's where that
call.
Came
that's
from.
The only that makes so much sense. And then we lose her at the end of this season early next season, and we've got a Scotty in there.
Yeah, let's hope.
And let's talk about Scotty. This guy was good. His accent was
was
better than James Doohan's accent because James Doohan is Welsh, not Scottish.
Yeah, I actually don't have any notes because it's like, no, that guy's great.
He was excellent without it being like a imitation or like a hacky imitation at all. It just felt like a pretty good Scotty. He had some pretty good engineering, the one thing
going
on.
I didn't like that was Scotty related is the weird CG infinite Jeffries tube. I just don't think a Jeffries tube should be that long. I think they're around 25 feet, maybe just up to the next deck, right? Because there's no reason to have those things going up the side of a slanted nacelle or something. That's like making people fucking climb up ladders to change light bulbs on radio towers in the 21st
We're going to have to compare notes on that because I've been doing some 3D models of Jeffries tubes inside. The way I figured was that they would go all the way from the rear of the ship along the lower decks, climb that neck, and go all the way up into the neck so that you could take one of those tubes if you had to get to the lower decks and whatever. Like you could take one tube all the way down.
So you're brilliant. I want to see a horizontal Jeffries tube right now. That's great. You couldn't. It'd be hard to do vertical ones with the way the ladder goes, but you could do a horizontal and then up to the angle, like have somebody going up and then like that.
Yeah, I've never seen it really.
That.
Yeah, I've never really.
I gotta see that. That'd be awesome. Anyway, can I just address Brian Shaneman for a second? Who like, he was trying to
mouthing off over here.
Yeah, he's like. He was like, "Oh, this one. I bought your book to be polite, but I bought Walker's book because I want to read it." It's like, you know what? Thank you, Brian. That was great. He Walker really likes that. Everybody seems to like his comic, so I just wanted to have that out. And thank you to Dantron. In your Human Guys, you were Walker's first interview. Oh, and so now that he's getting interviewed by Fanboy Planet and like Rich Johnson sniffing around.
By the way, tomorrow I'm supposed to talk to Eddie Campbell tomorrow about his new book.
Oh, yeah?
But Amazon, who's supposed to deliver it Friday, still has not delivered it yet today.
Well, that's what you get for living, Terra Arcada.
I probably could have got it at my local bookstore.
A new Earth colony off world. Anyway, Scotty's good, Sumi. He totally is good.
I like Scotty. I hope he's a regular addition to the cast in the next season and is just like the engineer.
He will.
Is that you think that's
Larry's been calling that since the beginning. They're gonna have a rotating new engineer every
I did say,
and it's gonna start and it's gonna end with Scotty.
I did say that when they stopped doing it, they would end with Scotty. And I think they still will. I think they still can. I think Scotty's gonna apprentice for somebody next season or the season after that, because he's still a lieutenant. How do you get chief engineer?
That's what I was saying. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know if he's necessary.
Jordy was a lieutenant. I mean,
I don't know if he's going to join the Enterprise. You know what I mean? I feel like Pelia is going to be like, there's no exit for her yet.
Jordy got a promotion when he got chief engineer.
Jordy was Lieutenant JG when he was helmsman, and then in season 2 he got promoted to lieutenant and chief engineer.
Okay,
okay, that's fine.
How does
and
Scotty?
In season 5 he was lieutenant commander.
I just don't think some nonsense dude off the skin tag, USS skin tag, is going to.
I couldn't tell the name of the ship. What ship was he on?
It was Star Diver.
I thought that's what he was saying, but I couldn't tell because he's
Divers, one or the other.
Scotty was a lieutenant commander in TOS. That's correct.
But so was Scotty. I mean, canon-wise, is there anything that would have us believe that, like, so during the Cage, Scotty was the engineer? Is that precluded in any way, though?
No, it's totally fine. That's fine.
Yeah. The one problem I have is that I have to do some math because I know that James Doohan was 44. So, like, I was thinking about this because somebody, I guess, did Akiva say McCoy is showing up? You and John went off on something. I'm like,
no, but I read some stupid clickbait thing that was like they're only 2 or 3 characters away from TOS, and I'm like, no, you can't put McCoy in there. You can have Sulu as a botanist if you want, but you got to get Rand in there. You got McCoy cannot show up. He doesn't show up until Kirk after Where No Man has gone before.
Dude, I want to see fucking everybody. Yeoman Colt, fucking Jose.
Where are the yeomen in this show?
I'm not down with like Gary Mitchell being a girl up at the, but whatever. I get it, but anyway.
Yo man, what's up with the yo man?
I love that. I love Brian just going crazy. He's right about the Jeffries too.
Oh yeah.
Just section them off. They'd be sectioned off. Exactly. You fucking ship takes German. Yeah, no Chekhov. No Chekhov's not even born yet.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. But don't put it past Akiva Goldman. He's an idiot.
But I just think that McCoy and Scotty should be in their 30s now, not in their 20s, like they cast.
But so, and guys, I have a question for you about Uhura. Okay. I feel like there is stolen valor going on here because they are trying to make Uhura into Nichelle Nichols in reality, right? Because, like, what is Uhura? What is she? Why is she well known in the far-flung future, as opposed to, say, like, Mr. Scott, who has like scientific breakthroughs or whatever that were, historic. What is she? But she was just a smart chick.
Yeah, she had the first interracial kiss. That's why everybody loves her.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Well, I'm like, I gotta hop in really fast for this joke.
That's what I'm saying. Because, right? That's nothing in the.
If you want to get nerdy, she does become a captain. Captain after the movies, but I don't know if I buy that because she's like 90 years old by the time of Undiscovered Country, but whatever.
I'll buy it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll squint at it because
it's fine.
All
of
of
90 to 40.
The second they recast the old scientists, everybody's working off a stolen dollar.
Mm-hmm.
This is no doubt.
Some are better at it than others. That's all.
She's best known for that fan dance for sure.
Fan dance. I do kind of like. I had Star Trek V on the other day when I was doing laundry, and I like. There's this whole thing where Scotty and Uhura are basically doing it on the bridge. They're like, "Hey, baby, what's happening?" And like, "Oh, hey, what's up, man? Meat." And I'm like, Jesus, I don't remember this scene.
Oh yeah, it's pretty great.
Uhura at her.
That's one of the things I got so pissed at. I got so pissed about that when they did the JJ movies because it's like, ooh, Spock and Uhura. It's like, no, Uhura's banging Scotty. Like, I don't know what you guys are watching. Like, she's banging Scotty over here. She's like, Spock is shutting her down because he's low key gay, and she's like, all right, I gotta go somewhere else. I can't go to Riley. He's way too Irish, right? So she goes to the Scottish guy. Yeah, makes sense.
Scotty was always was definitely my favorite character.
Scotty's badass, dude. There's a couple episodes where he's on the bridge and, because Kirk and Spock are on their, away mission. And he's just like, we're not doing shit. We're going to beat the fuck out of those Romulan, it's pretty awesome. Scotty's the best. I fucking love that guy.
Did you see that thing Sagasag put up on our Facebook thing about City on Edge of Forever from Scotty's perspective?
I saw that.
Or like, even as a kid, I was like, wow, that was a quick episode for Scotty, but to see it cut like that, that was like
funny.
Boyhood dream, man. I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, Scotty. All right, I guess we're going back up to the ship. Oh, okay, that's cool.
But I really liked a lot of this episode. Considering I've absolutely hated most of the episodes this season, I was very pleasantly surprised for most of this episode. I like Captain Patel. I think she's much more of a captain than Pike is this season. They did that man dirty. They wrote him like a huge pussy this season.
Oh yeah,
it was not good. It was not good.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Doesn't his knowledge of the future come into play in a moment like this?
Well, what do you mean, man? Because
remember from the first season,
I'm the time travel expert.
They have, but they haven't teased it this season like they did heavily in the first season. But remember, in the first season, it was like his whole thing is he knows the future. He's
got like angst about it.
Like, and he knows his life. Like, he knows everything that was so ostensibly he should know what's the result of this thing.
It should give him a sense of like undue immortality, right? Where it's like, dude, I can do whatever I want because I still got 8 years left.
At the very least, that.
Dude, he mentioned that at least I'm not bursting into musical song.
That was funny.
I want to hear him go, I've got plot armor, so I'm not going to mention this again. I'm good until 2063 or whatever.
That's funny.
Like, just fucking come out and say it, or say that there is no fate other than what we make for ourselves, and fucking have an episode where one of those kids dies right in front of them, but that's a kid who lives.
That would be great.
That episode. Right?
Yeah.
What the actual fuck are those guys doing over there?
Yeah. That would be cool. Explore the nature of causality in that universe and give like some.
Yeah,
not full resolution, but at least something that, like, look, we're in unexplored territories as far as
they dropped. They dropped a lot of things.
That's what it's called. I could write that episode in a half an hour. It's dude. Anyway,
but yeah, I liked a lot of this episode. I even kind of, because in my head, I think I've made the transition. This isn't the Enterprise. This is the USS Paramount. It's a random ship.
The Yorktown.
Random characters. Spock is a very common Vulcan name. My name's John. That's a very common, Earth name. A lot of people named John. A lot of people named Spock. So
I love it.
I can work with this.
I'm all in with Chris Sagasag, who had his explanation is perfect. That it is the cage turned into a different series. And they get to do whatever they want now, but it's pretty much Star Trek, but kind of all bets are off. I love that.
And then Chris shows up with the joke too. Like it's like he's sitting in here with us. This universe's Lazarus is the crazy one.
That's awesome,
dude. That episode gets so much shit, and all the stuff that everybody points and laughs, I actually love. Like, do you know what we're talking about, Dan? There's an episode that they shot over like 10 days when you're supposed to have a 5 to 7 day shoot, so the weather is all different, right? They shoot scenes with a guy who's playing an identical twin character, which is already rough to keep track of continuity wise. But then they shoot him like the same guy doing like the A part across the whole week. So like he'll be framed on some rocks, and it was a cloudy day that day. And then they cut back, and then it's like sunny and 75. But it kind of makes sense for this loopy ass episode, and then people just like treat it like, well, Shakespeare just didn't know what he was doing. Dude, seriously, I'm gonna post it afterwards. After I got to split to bring Walker to football, but when I come back, I'm gonna post it back on our Facebook group, Serious Star Trek, where there's a guy who breaks that down into 3 parts to the point of like, well, the wispy beard they put on the actor, that was clearly the Tuesday shoot. And I was like, this guy's a mental case, but oh my God, is he my kind of mental case? Because I remember where I was sitting in my parents' bedroom looking at the black and white TV when I don't think that guy, I think that's the other guy because his beard's a little wrong. And now I've grown up in the future and I'm talking to friends in other parts of the planet about this nutty shit. And they're like, yeah, no, it's the other guy. He's the crazy one.
Speaking of crazy people, where do you think we're gonna go after if we ever get a season 3? Where do you think season 3 is gonna go? Because they've probably already shot the opening, right, of season 3, right?
It's all totally written, right? Like in the can, final scripts are written as far as I know.
They would have to be the scripts that have to be done.
The scripts.
I don't know. I can tell you what I don't want to see. I don't want to see a season-long Gorn fight.
That would be awful.
I don't care. I think bringing the Gorn back is kind of, minimum effort as it is. But I'll tell you what I do want to see. I want to see 3 or 4 fucking science fiction writers writing an episode with little to no interference. Just like, who's that guy that wrote The Arrival, the short story that The Arrival was based on? His name's Dennis Fujitaki or something. I don't know. I don't remember the guy's name. But fucking hire that guy to do a Star Trek episode, right? Hire fucking Taylor, what's his name, who does Yellowstone. Give me a Pike episode with the fucking cowboys, man. Go ahead.
That'd be great.
Anyway,
I did think it was funny. The chief science officer was watching, and she was like, "I think they're just on like some random set they found." And I'm like, dude, that's the most Star Trek thing they've done in this whole damn show.
Right. You're so right. The most
Star Trek thing they've done is just film on an old Western set,
You know what I was really excited about? I saw When Everything's Fine, all the villagers have like this little geodesic dome thing, and it's a playground for the kids, right? But it's a 100% the little garden thing that we had in the back. And I wasn't sure until they show it at night when the Gorn are coming to get them, and they pan by, and now all of a sudden it's a silhouette of this geodesic thing, and it turns into like this little play structure for the kids to like this fucking like sci-fi post-apocalyptic landscape where everybody eats you. and I could see that the things that hold the little plastic things together are the exact things that we had. So I'm like,
that's awesome.
That's really cool that they just stick that thing down in their volume or whatever they call it. And like all of a sudden it looks like fucking Red Dawn. That's just fantastic.
Yeah. No, I thought the visuals were really good. I thought the pacing was really good. I liked most of the episode. I just didn't like Pike, but that's pretty normal.
Yeah.
I agree. I think What the new Trek kind of formula is, they'll set up this big thing and then they'll find out most of the fans hate that big thing, so they'll immediately deal with it the next season and never talk about it ever again. So I think that's what's going to happen. I think they're going to have some resolution to the Gorn where it'll be plausible that Kirk doesn't know about the Gorn, and they'll just go on and do something else.
I think that's what
9 episodes.
I feel like they've gone to this episodic format with a little bit of a wraparound thing. So that's hopefully what they'll do.
Yeah.
I like this. Now this is pretty cool to me. The idea that like if it's an established show, it's got legs now. Bring in some interesting directors.
That would be cool.
And have some cool episodes. It's
all about the writers, man.
They should outsource some of the writing.
Yeah,
true.
TV...
But a good director goes a long way. I think
that's true.
Episodes
you're right.
of Picard proved that.
Well, that's just because he knows the property. But traditionally, TV directors are not like movie directors.
Yeah,
they're just journeyman guys who come in and go, camera 1, camera 2, reaction.
Yeah, but they could get Tarantino now because he said he's only going to do one more movie, but then he will do TV. So
I would love a Tarantino Star Trek episode.
Tarantino Star Trek. I'm so there.
That's what in on that. He's going to move into television after his 10th and final film, the next one that he's working on.
You know what? The only Star Trek I want to see more than a Tarantino Star Trek is us and Rick Austin on directing, because those are the only people that have a chance to defeat what I think Quentin Tarantino would come up with.
I love it.
Yeah. See, he's right.
Big shot. Rick Austin says, "Hey, Rick, I wanted to ask you. Hey, Rick, just give us an update from the field of the strike. Are we getting out of this thing anytime soon?" What's the Rick Austin prognosis? What do you guys think out there? As well as here in the studio, I think this could be a long one.
I think as long as SAG-AFTRA is letting independent films do it, that's not a strike. I think, it's
Rick
not.
Says no, so no, it's going to be long. We're in for a long haul.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I think they all should just shut up and realize they don't have a real job and get back to work.
I think at some point they will realize that there is such a backlog of stuff in streaming, in the streaming backlog that nobody has watched, that it might take a little bit of time before people really start jonesing.
And we're coming up on an election. Like the election, creates its own narrative story. That was the 2008 election was like that. There was a writer's strike during that. Nobody gave a shit because we had this one of the most dramatic presidential elections of all time happening.
Well, this one's probably going to be pretty boring. I think it's probably
it is probably going to be pretty
just
boring.
It's not like a supervillain is running with the renewed purpose of pardoning himself. Like that's his only way out of prison is to win the presidency. That's a great movie right there.
I do wish they would get over that AI bullshit, man. I had to do a teaching session today about integrating AI into the classroom, and I just sat there with my middle finger up the whole time. I'm just like, this is how I'm integrating AI into my classroom. If you use it, you get an F.
Oh man, that's perfect. Thank you.
It. And then I got kicked out and fired, but don't tell anyone.
Generative AI has definitely changed the way I work a lot already pretty quickly, but there's no way it could replace. All it's done is giving me more tools. It's like I'm moving up from a slide rule to a graphing calculator, to speak.
This is going to sound like I'm taking a shot at you, Dan, but I really have to split right now.
Oh,
I'm really sorry.
Larry's like, AI, that's I gotta go.
I gotta go. But have a good show, Larry. Guys. The rest of the show. Thanks a lot.
Bye, Larry. I gotta go pretty soon too. My daughter should be getting home. I'm gonna switch over to our Hollywood Square set.
Yeah.
Hang on.
So
let's talk about Hollywood though. Let's talk about, if we can, the strike a little bit. Did we juice out that episode of Star Trek? I think we said weak sauce cliffhanger,
good things, bad things.
It just left on a sour note. They could have trimmed that. They could have trimmed that ending by 15 seconds and just made it like a what do I do? Not like should I do anything? Like should I stop being a captain?
And like
whatever.
it wasn't even the indecision, right? It wasn't even the indecision when Pike, because obviously the audience understands like it's a moment of indecision, right?
Yes.
It was, he looked scared. He looked afraid. And it's like, dude, like,
and his crew is
like,
kind of, and his crew noticed
completely the other way. Oh yeah. Number one is like, bro, what are you doing? Like, what the fuck? You're Christopher Pike. Like, fucking do something.
Yeah, it's a little weird. It's a little weird. Yeah. Although I guess that's one of his themes, the themes of his character. He's a tragic character, ultimately.
Shitty character.
Right? We know, I mean, we know
he's that tragedy bullshit.
But we know his tragic doom. So like, and that's sort of like, what do they call that? Dramatic irony, right? Like we know stuff, but then again, he knows it too.
Yeah.
So it's not, I don't know.
And number one knows it too. I think literally he just needs to fucking open fire. He just needs to turn around. You start season 3 with, the zoom in on Pike, and then he immediately turns around and says, Ortega's tactical station Alpha, fire all torpedoes, blah, blah, blah. Like fucking just go for it, dude.
Okay. This is the hot strike summer, they're calling this, right? Like there's been a lot of labor action happening, and there's a possible auto strike looming. We just averted the Teamster strike, but this is our moment, folks.
Can't do shit without Teamsters.
I'm a labor kid. Like my parents were both union members. I'm not, but there is no union for me to join, and I think that's the biggest problem with so many people in our society. They don't have a organization like that can work for them. Their interests are all stacked against them.
Business owners have your best interest in heart, right?
To Hollywood producers, right? And then not even the producers, who I can feel for a Hollywood producer who's essentially a creative person in some degree. It's the Bob Igers, who are like, what have you done in your life that's creative beyond figuring out ways to fire people and charge more for your product?
It's the accountants, it's the lawyers, it's the, they're all fucking assholes. Hollywood needs to be bulldozed. But anyway, I digress.
IT unions. Oh, and that's the other thing. Yeah, some of the Marvel post-production teams are trying to unionize. It's a thing.
There's certainly enough of those people in the credits. They certainly have enough workers to unionize.
Well, that's where I think, dude, the future this year proved it even more, because beyond Barbie and Oppenheimer that everybody's are talking about, right? Which even that they say, oh, it's finally, it's not a sequel or whatever, but it's like both of those are so highly nostalgic. We are just looking backwards completely with everything that's coming out.
Oh yeah.
But all the big hits, the surprise hits that actually made a ton of money and didn't cost as much to make, were all animated. Like Mario, Into the Spider-Verse. There were some animated misses too.
Was Mario a big hit?
Humongous.
Really? I didn't pay any attention to that.
It was the top movie for a while, and worldwide it played incredibly well. Oh, new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, getting good reviews. It's got a kind of a neat claymation animated kind of look to it. Seth Rogen did it, but lower budget.
Yeah,
it's gonna make money. And I think if they're looking at bang for the buck, these tentpole humongous, like to spend $300 million or whatever they spent for a new Indiana Jones movie, I don't know.
Well, and to be fair, the Indiana Jones budget was because they basically had to reshoot the whole thing because of COVID, on top of all the de-aging technology.
True.
But I mean, think about the Star Trek movies. I mean, Star Trek Beyond, was what, $600 million, whatever the fuck it was. Like,
I think it's getting untenable.
No way to make that money. It's
getting untenable, and yet the cost of doing effects are coming down. Really, but like the cost of these movies that you're totally dependent on are going up. So I feel like it's time. The time is going to be ripe for indie stuff, especially animation, because when you do animation, you're at the same level as everybody else. Sort of like I was telling Larry's kid about doing comics, as opposed to making, like, if Walker had gone out and shot a student film, it would be like, okay, this is cool. This guy has some chops. He's creative, but still, it's going to look like a student film. It's going to be kids playing the guy in the army, and it's going to be shot on whatever they could get a hold of and whatever army surplus. But when you do a comic, you can just get a good artist, and it's as good as the best artist you can get.
Right.
And so now it's sort of the same idea. That we could see.
I don't understand why, because you're absolutely right. Like the CGI technology to make like a good, decent movie is, the price has been coming down for the last 10, 15, probably 20 years. And the price of movies, the cost of movies is skyrocketing. I don't understand that math. That math I don't understand at all.
That's where we're coming to, where the individual creators and direct funding through like a Patreon model could just be the way we go. Because when you think about it, well, how these guys are they're employed because studios have deep pockets and can pay them up front and can give them money. And if it's not a mega hit, the money's still there. But if it is a mega hit, whatever, the studio rapes the lion's share. Now we've got a time when individual creators can self-finance and produce things that are really, really high quality. I just feel like we're on the cusp of just the right person doing it. Oops. Could be John. Speaking of technology and the right things happening, I feel like we're losing our internet connection here a little bit. I got to wrap it up. I got to get out of here. John, you still with us? Yeah, John, I've lost John, folks. So wait, I'm going to wrap it up. Hang on. Jelly Bean Shaheen is here to say we're going to be back next week, and we're going to see you when? We're going to see you when, Jelly Bean? It's going to be next Tuesday. It's going to be 3 p.m. But you know where it's going to be, Jelly Bean?
No.
Do you know where?
No.
I know where it's going to be.
Where?
It's going to be on the internet.
Hello out there. I'm Mr. Sulu of Star Trek. When I'm out in space, I use the Starship Enterprise to get around. When I'm here in Milwaukee, I ride the bus to save time and money. Your $5 weekly pass is a great buy. Your bus tickets, the greatest. Take it from a man who knows. Your Milwaukee County transit system is really out of this world.
Come ride with us on the bus.